And so we have a big game of telephone that's been started by political ideologues who don't care what is true. They want to manipulate in order to push a political agenda. Yesterday, I shot a video talking about James Damore, the Google engineer who was fired after drafting the controversial Google Memo, where he talks about the potential differences between men and women and reasons why there might be a disparity in certain areas between men and women. The video is about the lawsuit he filed accusing Google of discriminating against conservatives and white men. This video is going to talk about fake news, and it mostly has to do with James Damore, and this is exactly why we need to be vigilant, and this is going to, look, I'm so sick and tired of fake news. I'm so sick and tired of companies claiming to be legitimate, putting out absolute fake news that I want to directly call them out right now, and that's what we're gonna do. Willamette Week isn't the biggest publication in the world, but they are considered to a certain degree prominent, and I've seen many journalists retweeting their stories, so they're first. Tech bro fired from Google for saying women are biologically unfit to be engineers will speak at PSU next month. James Damore will answer questions about his opinions on diversity and presumably why he thinks women can't do math. Now, if you've been following my channel, you'll know that Willamette Week was the publication that called me a white nationalist, and then I had to call them, and they had to apologize and remove that from the story, although the story they did still accused me of sympathizing with white nationalists for whatever reason. The diversity-mocking tech bro Google fired last year for writing a 10-page screed blaming women and their biologically inferior brains for Google's diversity problems is bringing his conservative message to Portland next month. Portland State University philosophy professor Peter Boghossian will lead a no-holds-barred conversation with James Damore at a campus event titled "We Need to Talk About Diversity." So why is this fake news? Well, first of all, James Damore is certainly not a bro. He was a research scientist at MIT, a research intern at Harvard and Princeton. He is your stereotypical Big Bang Theory nerd, the opposite of a bro. Then they call him conservative, which, no, he's actually not conservative. In fact, I actually reached out to him and asked him, did he consider himself conservative? And what he told me was that he is a centrist with libertarian leanings, but because he defended some conservative views, Google and the media have labeled him as such. More importantly, the story claims that he is saying women are biologically inferior. Let's just look at the memo and see what it says. I value diversity and inclusion, am not denying that sexism exists, and don't endorse using stereotypes. When addressing the gap in representation in the population, we need to look at population-level differences in distributions. If we can't have an honest discussion about this, then we can never truly solve the problem. Well, James, I'm sorry, because it seems like we really can't have an honest discussion about this, because most of these companies that are putting out stories on this are mischaracterizing and misrepresenting exactly what is going on, and I am absolutely fed up. Andy No on Twitter said, "This headline is inaccurate. Read the 10-page doc for yourself instead of someone else's interpretation of an interpretation based on a summary." Brett Weinstein, who is actually a professor for some time, said, "Not just the headline, check out sentence 1. The diversity-mocking tech bro Google fired last year for writing a 10-page screed blaming women and their biologically inferior brains for Google's diversity problems is bringing his conservative message to Portland next month." Now, both of those are a direct rag on Willamette Week for their shoddy fake news. It seems like the writer of that article has some kind of chip on her shoulder and is angry about something else. I don't understand. You're gonna have to explain to me why someone would lie like that. Either this author doesn't know anything about what actually happened with Google, the memo, and the lawsuit, or she is willfully lying to people, being deceptive on purpose to push an agenda. At any rate, it's fake news. But they're not the only ones. Let's move forward. The Verge. This absolutely surprised me that The Verge would do this. James Damore was fired as an engineer after the manifesto, which questioned the benefits of diversity programs and suggested women may be biologically inferior engineers, was widely passed around the company. James Damore did not say that women were biologically inferior. James Damore said that men prefer to systemize and women might prefer to empathize. He said that you need to look at population-level distributions to better understand demographics. He never said women were not capable, but that they may not be as interested, which is a dramatic difference. Next up, we have the AV Club. The Google anti-diversity memo guy has now unleashed the world's worst KKK take. I actually had someone I know talking about James Damore ask me, hey, didn't James Damore support the KKK? Like, why are we defending this guy? And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you talking about? Support or defend the KKK? He tweeted that they were horrible and he doesn't support them. No, but people, based on this reporting, believe that's exactly what he did. The memo was a long, pedantically logical argument that women were biologically incapable of doing the heavy rational work of being tech employees, thus justifying the massive hiring biases that have made Silicon Valley a bastion of institutional machismo. And that's just plain wrong. The memo actually looked at solutions to the diversity problem, saying that maybe a better way to get women involved is to create a work environment they might appreciate, or to create work practices that would be better suited for women. Not that they were incapable of being engineers or doing math. As for the whole KKK thing, James Damore said, the KKK is horrible and I don't support them in any way, but can we admit that their internal title names are cool, e.g. Grand Wizard? I understand what James was saying there. I think it's kind of dumb, but sure, you can call a Grand Wizard a cool title. The point is, he flat out says they are horrible and he doesn't support them, and wanted to bring up a point about recruiting and how they can make people feel cool, and that's the point of like any group and how they recruit in general. But the coup de grace, the killing blow, is the New York Times, which wrote, Mr. Damore, frustrated after another diversity training, wrote a memo that he posted to an internal Google message board. In it, he argued that maybe women were not equally represented in tech because they were biologically less capable of engineering. Google fired him last month. That's fake news, New York Times. It's actual fake news. The argument isn't that women are biologically incapable. In fact, I don't think there was necessarily an argument, but that James was saying if women do prefer to empathize, to socialize, then maybe we can build programs around that. It's complicated, sure, there's many different interpretations, but it seems like all of these stories, the authors didn't even read the memo. And I can attest to that because when this news was breaking, so long ago, whenever this was, I actually spoke with journalists who just said, oh, well, I skimmed it. And this is who was writing these stories. This is a mind-blowing level of deception. Look, when we look at this story, we either have absolutely inept journalists who don't do the smallest tidbit of work. Seriously, the document is not that long. In fact, it's 10 pages, but it's like broken up like an outline. Some of these pages don't even have 300 words on them. Yet these journalists don't even read the memo. In my opinion, I think they're just reading someone else's story and then rewriting it. And so we have a big game of telephone that's been started by political ideologues who don't care what is true. They want to manipulate in order to push a political agenda. And at the very least, we have a totally inept press that we're supposed to give respect to, that we're supposed to say, oh, they're the fourth estate. They're the protectors of a free society. Yet they put out absolute BS, defaming, slandering, and libeling a nerdy scientist. Can we also just say that many of these articles that even question his understanding of science are written by people who have no understanding of science at all, and this guy was actually a scientist. Donald Trump has been very critical of the press. He's called them the fake news, he's called them the most dishonest people, and naturally, if you attack press, they will attack back. Any group would, right? But what ends up happening is when the press puts out a bunch of bad stories about Trump, and they have, not all of it's bad, but I would say there's so much over-exaggerated nonsense about Trump, then he comes out and gets angry. If you go after a journalist, they're going to rile up all their buddies, and then they're all going to start attacking you. And the press is powerful. Now, I made a video on my second channel, but I think I'm going to bring it up now because Trump has apparently won the top global press oppressor award from the Committee to Protect Journalists, which is absolute nonsense. According to The Hill, Trump named top global press oppressor. The Committee to Protect Journalists named President Trump as the winner of its overall achievement in undermining global press freedom award in its Press Oppressors Awards Monday. Trump was also named the runner-up in the most thin-skinned category, losing the top spot to Turkish President Erdogan. He regularly attacks outlets and individual journalists on Twitter in speeches calling them sad, failing, or garbage, the committee wrote of Trump. Since declaring his presidential candidacy in 2015, Trump has posted about 1,000 tweets critical of the press. There are countries that I can't even go to because they kill journalists and don't let foreign press in the country. There are a couple countries I can't go back to. Turkey, for instance, imprisons more journalists than any other country on the planet. It's absolutely insane that the press, that so many outlets, not all of them, obviously they're good journalists, but they're going to put out absolute nonsense. They're going to put out the story about James Damore calling him conservative when, one, he's not. They're going to accuse him of saying women can't do math, which he never did. And this is what people read, and this is what people will believe. And then they have the gall to come out and say that they're the bastions of truth and freedom. It's safe to say that news has always been this bad. We just didn't have the ability to fact check the way we do now. So maybe this video is an opportunity to actually improve the press. And maybe as bad as it is, it actually might be getting better. As long as you have the ability to see me, call these people out, I think the press might be improving. But who knows? Maybe I'm being optimistic. Let me know what you think in the comments below and we'll keep the conversation going. How do you feel about the mainstream media and fake news? And side note, we can talk about James Damore a little bit too. If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Timcast. And if you want to support my work, go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like, give nothing at all. My videos are always free and available every day at 4 p.m. And I have an announcement to make. I've been putting videos up on my second channel, but due to some hubbub over at YouTube about how they're dealing with certain issues, I think it's time that I move over to a different platform as a backup. So I'm going to be putting my second video, my commentary videos, onto DTube, which is a distributed blockchain video platform. It's not entirely the same as YouTube. I think most of the videos run at 480p, but it's better to have a backup channel on a separate platform. And also it's a great way to generate income because it's like a crypto thing. But go check it out. So the link to that is in the description below. And subscribe there because I will be putting my commentary videos up on that platform on DTube. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you tomorrow at 4.